Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our LinkedIn Live with the lovely Gina London. We love doing our LinkedIn Lives because we love sharing knowledge with you. And Gina, tell us a little bit about yourself for the people who don't know who you are.
Oh, thanks, Sam. It's always great to be with you too. Hey, everybody out there. For those of you who don't know, I'm Gina London. I'm a former CNN correspondent. I got into leadership and development through the lens of camera presence, storytelling, when I was doing my work there as a television journalist. And then that moved into campaign strategy. I worked with a government affairs firm in the United States for almost 10 years after that, leading public involvement pieces, helping big clients position their projects and their development opportunities in ways that would be winning to the public and also make sense from a media perspective. Then I got asked by a bunch of corporates to say, hey, how do we do our presentations? How do we do our meetings? And that launched my own consultancy, which I have today. So I speak, I train, and I coach on the power of intentional communications, our strategy, our structure, and taking more control of this human being that is irreplaceable by AI around the words we use, the voice that we can play better like an instrument, and the body language that we can intentionally deliver to more positive effect. That's me.
And do you know, folks, I have learned so much from Gina myself. Like, even starting this live, did you notice that my tonation was lower than it usually is? Because I'm learning. You've so many videos on YouTube, you've so many videos on your Instagram, you have so many videos on LinkedIn, and you're always teaching, always showing us little tips. So imagine what people get when they actually hire you to do this stuff, because you're giving so much value all the time.
Oh, thank you. I try to give the best practices that are out there from my experience to anyone because I do believe in this so much
Mm.
that it's not enough to just show up, that there are better ways that don't just impact others, but also positively impact ourselves. And that's really an important component. This is not about fake it till you make it. I hate that line.
Me
It's
too.
about what are some intentional, small little modifications that you can make in your behavior, in your appearance, in your word choice that will bring people along with you more, assuming we have mutually beneficial outcomes. That's very important as well. And when I help other people go, oh, this isn't just a natural thing, you either have it or you don't, it's a developable skill like any technical skill. Yes. And sometimes this stuff seems so simple, but it isn't easy to consistently apply. So that's why coming
Mm.
on here with you to remind ourselves to come together and create that community of like-mindedness where we have a safe space to share, to encourage one another, to talk about those small things that might make a difference, to get challenged, which is fantastic, to have a real conversation about things that are working or might not be working and how you can improve. That's really what it's all about. And so sometimes these things might seem small, but they can make a real big difference.
Absolutely. And for anyone who's watching, the reason we chose this topic today is we're very aware that it's holiday season. We're very aware that there are
I was
lots of
sorry, I was
human.
going to interrupt because I actually wrote about because we decided. I thought initially when we were talking about this, Sam, you remember I said, "Oh, I think it's too soon." I mean, it's just the
Yeah.
middle of November, and then suddenly, like in my inbox, like clockwork, I got 3 invitations here in November to holiday events. I'm like, okay,
Mhm.
it's not too
Mhm.
soon. It's
Mhm.
here.
Yep,
So,
absolutely. And you know what? Uh, One thing that you're very good at is seeing the human, treating everybody equally. I've noticed, when I was with you on a few trips that, from the porter to the cleaner to the whoever it was, you treated everybody the same, and it's a lovely quality about you. And so there might be people watching, maybe we know you're human. We know you're human beings that are watching. So we want to help you with the good, the bad, and the ugly about the holiday season. So tell us what you had in mind about sharing today.
yeah, thanks. When we started talking about this topic, because the holiday season is upon us, I was thinking about the essentially sometimes it can be the tyranny of holiday cheer. Like
Mm.
like it's almost an expectation or a mandatory requirement that everybody loves the holidays. And what really drove it home, and I'm not sharing out of school because I will keep it anonymous, but one of a person that I coach who's also become a dear friend, I have to say, it's the second anniversary next week of her husband's untimely passing from a heart attack. And she has 3 children, and this is an incredibly hard time for her, not a happy time. And then compound it with she's actually got some difficulties going on at work with a number of members on the team. So, and I always say we don't have a personal life and a professional life, we just have a life. And so life can be difficult, especially when there's a heightened expectation around how we should be jingling and jangling and all of that kind of thing. And so I thought, let's talk about it from that real point of view. How are you feeling? How do you deal with those feelings? How do you, if you're feeling great and really exuberant, be aware that other people might be feeling something different? And so when I was crafting my column that's going to be running on Sunday in the Irish Independent, the Sunday Independent, the largest newspaper here in Ireland, but available for anybody online. You all, I have to confess. But still, the point that I was trying to make as I was writing the column is that at any given time around the holidays, someone's got a loss, like my friend. Someone might be dealing with their own health issues. Someone might be feeling financially strapped. Someone might be feeling lonely. I'm back on the singles, apps. Yay. I'm just being human. I'm just being human, And there might be that one person who is feeling extremely happy about shopping and cooking and having family over and hurrah, hurrah, holidays. But that's not the only point of view. So I wanted to do the good, the bad, the ugly, let's get real about the holidays and how I'd love people, if you're listening right now, I'd love for you to share, if you'd like, how you're feeling about it, about some of the thoughts that you have when it comes to, which we're going to dive into, holiday parties, workplace parties, and it can be even gatherings with friends. It can be gatherings with the family, because this whole thing around communications, even though we're here on LinkedIn Live, again, with the caveat that it's not just for professional, it's for life, and these things apply across the board. So to have a discussion, help us prepare together. There's a lot of power within each of us, but I think the power of the collective is really that much more impactful.
Absolutely. And I think, just to be, I suppose, to be aware that, the people, the employees, and like the team that you work with in the building, or there might be people that don't even live in Ireland and their family might be very far away, for example. Well, is that for you as well?
Exactly. So I live in Ireland. I'm a single mom. My daughter lives here, and that's it. I don't have any cousins, any aunties. I've become friends with Rosie O'Donnell since she moved here to Ireland, another American expat that many of you would know. And fortunately for her, she's here also as a single mom with her 12-year-old daughter, but she has some cousins who live up in the north. So at least she's got a little bit of family connectivity already here. And I don't. And there's a lot of people from a variety of countries in a different country that isn't their home. So if you're coming in from Canada, but you're originally from Nigeria, for example, it can be a lonely time. If you're a student studying and for some reason I don't know, for whatever reason, you're not going home for the holidays.
You can't afford to go home.
Could be. Yeah, great. There's a lot of reasons why this whole Norman Rockwell painting of absolutely everything is copacetic and fabulous can set us up for a feeling of failure if we're just a little bit not meeting that pre-described and unrealistic expectation.
And so how can people help, I suppose, if they do know that there's somebody maybe that is, or how could they spot somebody that maybe might not be?
Well, that's great. So first of all, be proactive. So if you're in a workspace and you're going to have a holiday party, watch your wording. So little things like everybody's expected to participate instantly make somebody feel less than or not as able to speak up if that's been put on an invitation, or no Scrooges allowed, for example. Things like that. And things like, but you see it, and people's intentions are probably not negative, but intentions still don't protect you from the impact. So wording, have someone else take a look at it. If you've written it, or if you chat GPT your invitation, make sure you say, can I make the language very inclusive? Can you say things like, come as you are? We know some people might be really enthusiastic. Some people might be a little more hesitant. Leave when you like. You're invited. You're warmly invited. All of those types of wordings takes the pressure off. So I think right at the very beginning, be aware that others aren't necessarily feeling gung-ho about the holidays. You don't have to poo-poo it in order to get people to come, but you give them that safe space. That's one. Another thing is have non-alcoholic options. Let's talk. Yes, there's my sober sister here. Tell a little bit about your story, Sam, because I think it's important, especially as we come to the holidays, about what that's like.
Yeah, well, I'm 17 years in sobriety now. So, I know for me at Christmas time, in early sobriety, I'm talking about, I'm okay now, but in early sobriety can be difficult for the family who has the person in early sobriety coming, but also the person in early sobriety coming to a party or dinner, Christmas dinner or whatever. And usually there's a kind of an elephant in the room, maybe they just get rid of the alcohol altogether. Nobody's having alcohol. We don't want you to do that. We want you to drink. You're okay. You're not us. Like, you can
Well, then
drink and
have
enjoy.
good conversations about it. Don't presume from
Yeah,
the side of the party throwers, for example.
exactly. So find out, maybe contact them and say, look, which mineral would you like us to have? We'd like to give you your favorite, like Coke Zero. Is it Diet Coke you like? Because they're both very different. So, it's like, make sure you have that conversation first of all, but also for the person who is in early sobriety, it can be difficult. But what you do is you put things in place beforehand. It's like Gina's always talking about: prepare, prepare, prepare. And then you have your walk scheduled for after dinner with your other sober friend, or, you have something in place. You have the phone with you, you can call a friend or whatever, have things in place and bring your own favorite beverage. Maybe it's ginger ale or something that's not, maybe Sidona, or maybe it's something that I wouldn't think of getting.
Yeah,
Like,
you
I normally,
name something as an American. You've just named something as American I've never heard of. Like, what? I don't know, for the international friends. Like, what is a Sidona? What is that?
it's like an apple kind of flavor drink.
Oh, okay.
I don't even know what they do. So I'm just giving an example of somebody might love that
You just
drink, but we
pulled
never
that from
think of
your
it.
Irish childhood, some brand that I've never heard.
But
See, but
this is the
this is cultural awareness, folks.
yes,
It's neurodiversity awareness. It's sobriety awareness. But what you make is a really good point, Sam, that there's a responsibility for the party thrower, and then there's also
yes,
there's an example for the party goer. So don't be completely dependent or get resentful if they haven't prepared for you either, because you can prepare for yourself. I think that's also important. If you're someone who maybe does consume alcohol, but you don't want to overconsume, also
Hmm.
try to plan for that. So bring that glass of water, make sure that there's a glass of water with you, and alternate between the champagne and the water or whatever the beverage is. Try to make sure, especially in a workplace situation, that you don't get yourself into an uncomfortable situation where you say or do something that you're going to regret. So please be
Absolutely.
aware.
So for this invitation that's going out, the wording is really important. Can I just give a shout out to Jennifer and to Esther, who have joined us? So Esther has joined us here. I think you know her. She's one of your connections. And then Jennifer, do you know what Jennifer does? She just preparing for people. If we're going to, let's say let's say I wasn't around tomorrow. Who has my digital logins? Who has all of that? It's succession planning, all of that. She does that. It's really cool. Just letting you know. So yeah, so Jennifer, shout out to Jennifer. But yeah, she said about being a solopreneur can be really lonely, and there's no Christmas party
Right.
set
Well,
up.
and I'm a solopreneur too, and so I appreciate that. And so, as Jennifer mentions, if you join networks, then you can join that network's holiday party, for example. And sometimes that can also be. And now let's talk about network events or work
Okay.
events for that matter. Let's talk about we talked about planning and wording an
Mm-hmm.
invitation. We talked about maybe some of the beverage planning that you can provide. Let's also talk a little bit about being in an event. And this
Mm-hmm.
could be mostly a working event. We can talk a little bit about family if we want, but I don't think it really applies where I'm going. But what I'm thinking of right now is, when You are coming to an event on your own. You might be intimidated, or you might, regardless of the holiday, but you might be even more feeling like, okay, there's an extra expectation to be sparkly like my outfit, or my need to be extra extrovert, and I don't feel that. So, what can you do? Try to get the list beforehand if you can. Try to reach out to someone beforehand if you can through LinkedIn, or if you've got an internal communication system for your networking group, so that you can have a buddy ready. You can maybe even meet beforehand and then walk in together. If
Yeah.
you can't do any of that, then my first encouragement is little Mel Robbins here. Do your 3-2-1. When you walk in, before you think yourself out of it, walk to the first person you see, or the fewest people in a little circle, and make that connection. Hi, I'm Gina. What brings you here? Hi, great to see you. Your dress looks so great. Hi, love that tie. Those types of compliments are not pushing the boundary. They're not inappropriate, as long as you keep your eyes at their eyes, and you're keeping all of those things normal and appropriate, obviously. But then if you're someone who's in the event and you see me or Jennifer walking in by ourselves, and Sam has a story about this, but it wasn't a holiday event, but the
Yeah.
feeling of us to be aware, and even if it's an employee who might be down for some reason, or someone who's more introverted, if someone shows up alone and you see them, I think you have an obligation to not ignore, but to go bring in. Hi, so and so. It's so great to see you. If you don't know their name, don't worry about it. Hi, it's great to see you. Come on over and let us get you what kind of beverage would you like? Don't presume. But
Yeah.
do bring and make people feel included. Now, if you see someone who's maybe against the wall, they've already come in, but they're not being talked to, and you think they look down, if you go up to them and say, "What's wrong?" you just put them in a corner. Why aren't you having a good time? What's going on? Why are what? I mean, but people do this, and again, the intention. So here's a
Yeah.
phrase. Hey, how are you feeling?
Mm.
Hey, what did it say? Hi. Let it linger. Don't over index your questions to someone. Start with the thing like, hey, how are you? What's going on? We love to, you make it light. And then you can give them some space. Maybe they don't feel comfortable talking. Maybe they want to have some time by themselves. Maybe they really want to share. But when
Mm.
you're in an event, you as the attendee can go make a friend quickly. You as someone who's already there can bring someone in quickly. And I think those are two components to remember to keep people feeling seen and valued.
Actually, I do that at social media. We've Social Media Fest on the 26th of November, which is next week. But I remember there were people that had come in a bit early, and there, one or two ladies were sitting on their own, right? So, like, I had time, so I went over and I said, "Hi, thanks a million for coming. Did you have to travel far? Because a lot of people travel down to
Right.
Wexford for it." And so I started the conversation, and then I went up to the other lady and I started talking to her, and then I realized the two of them had come from the same place, and I was like, "You ladies need to connect." I said, "You should be sitting beside each other." And they started laughing. And then one girl said, "Okay, I'll sit beside you." And they ended up together for the whole event, which was
Now,
lovely. And they remember that, by
and
the
I'm
way. They
going to
actually,
back up and give a little context, because for those of you who don't know, Sam has her own incredible media company where she helps executives and regular people too take more control of their social media presence through LinkedIn
mm,
and a number of variety of ways. And so as a result of that, she also is the organizer and chairperson of an event called, as you see above her shoulder there, Social Media Fest. Now it is Ireland based in the county of Wexford, which is just a little bit away from where I live in Dublin. And what she's sharing, though, is that people travel from all over the country to come to this event. And so
yeah,
when we keep our external observer mindset active, which
hmm
I say this a lot, the more others conscious you can be, the less self conscious you will be as a result. So you can be the connector, like
yeah,
Sam was, by introducing a person to make that person feel valued. And then remember the conversations that you're getting. If you're so stuck in your own thought track that you're actually not listening, she would
mm.
have missed an opportunity to say, wait, you're from here, let me get you guys together. But
Exactly.
this might seem like a small thing, but think about the impact it made on those two people. And she could have been in her, she's the organizer. She's a speaker. She has to think about her other speakers. She could have been so focused on what's happening from all of that she would have missed the active listening skills required to reach out to that one person, remember the other person, bring those two together. And so I want to really spotlight that, because these are the kinds of things you go, oh, where's the magic bullet about how to make these types of events more meaningful? It's the small things that matter. And it really starts with us deciding, because it's a choice, to get out of ourselves. When Sam was talking about me knowing the person at the front desk at the hotel where we were checking in for an event, or knowing the name of the waiter that's serving the coffee, I do that as a choice. Now it's become who I am now, but it starts, and it feels kind of contrived the first time, because you feel like, well, who am I? Why am I asking that waiter their name? And then when you see a person light up because you've actually taken a moment to be interested in them, that's where the reward comes in. Like, wow, this is what human connection feels like. This is what purposeful communication and connection feels like. And I promise you, folks, every one of us wants to feel valued, and I believe has a responsibility to show others value, because that bringing those two lights together, of course, makes more light. There's an amazing museum here in Ireland called the Epic Museum, and it goes through the journey of how people in Ireland left the country from the famine, and left the country because they thought a better life in Australia or America for a variety of reasons, and the impact that they've had on the world through fashion, through literature, through culture, through a variety of things. But the reason I'm sharing this right now is because at the end, I'm going to, spoiler alert for anyone who goes to the Epic Museum.
Spoiler alert.
When you go to the Epic Museum, if you're a journalist mindset like I am, you're going to be wondering the whole time, why is it called Epic? What is it? Is it so fabulous? What is the deal? And here's the meaning. At the very last little part of the whole journey, you go through a portal, a door, and it says Epic. Every person is connected. Every person is connected. And we have an opportunity to help build or break down connections with the way that we choose to communicate. And this is life right here, folks. And the holidays tend to put more pressure on us, and we tend to get more self-centered and, oh, poor me, or oh, pressure on me. If we can push that out and go, what's a nice thing I can do for the guy who helps fixes my car, the post person that comes and delivers our mail, and ours, by the way, is named Tony, because of course I know his name, and he brings treats in his pocket for the neighborhood dogs. Like, if you can't get out of yourself enough, think about the other people in your workplace, the other people in your holiday party, the other people who are whatever in your life. The research is clear. Introvert, extrovert, we all need a little human interaction. And if you get out of your AirPods and your own self-talk for enough to just simply have a quiet conversation of, how are you? What's going on? How are you feeling? You look great today. You will find the benefits from that for them and also for you are immeasurable.
And it's interesting because some people, something that I've learned in from going to my meetings in sobriety is we always try and think, oh, I have to go to this thing. Oh, instead of thinking that way, think, what value can I bring to this event? So what can I bring to it? And you know what? When we get out of our own heads, like, I could be feeling sorry for myself, but if I help somebody, it makes me feel good, and it kind of takes me out of my own head.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, and that's it. I mean, we spend so much of our lives living in our heads. And no, we do. And of course, that's science. But our thoughts are not reality.
Mm.
And for us to disrupt our thoughts takes physical effort. So the actions disrupt and then change our thoughts, not our thoughts change our actions. And so if you're acting like you're dreading, you're allowing that thought track to plant in and repeat. It makes those neural pathways that much stronger. However, and this is where I love neuroscience, if you disrupt it with actually an out loud probably say statement of, you know what, how can I add value to one person? How can I meet one person to introduce myself? And if you're never accustomed to doing it, please don't set yourself up for I'm going to introduce myself to 10 people, because you're not going to do it, and then less than because you couldn't achieve your own goal. Set your little goals small, even if it is I'm going to walk in and I'm going to go introduce myself to the first person I see on my right. Like, make it very clear. James Clear and the Atomic Habits. It's not I'm going to go to the gym and work out 5 days a week. It's I'm going to put my trainer shoes next to my bed and just put them on in the morning. That's the little baby steps. So try to find, what are the baby steps? How am I going to encourage another person? What are the small but significant things that I can do? Or one small but significant thing I can do?
And if anything, it is the season to start thinking that way, because, it is the season of giving, and charities are always looking for volunteers and all that kind of stuff. And, maybe do something like that can help as well. But definitely, I know that you have a lot of friends and you have a big gathering and stuff like that. And I know that your holiday season, Thanksgiving, is starting soon. So, any tips for people who might have a multicultural team in the
Sure.
office?
Oh, absolutely. Well, like anything, awareness is always critical. So if you are aware that there are people who celebrate other holidays around this season, or people who don't celebrate for whatever reason, back to the whole point about someone have financial problems or a loss, it's important as a employee or as an employer to know your team members. And you don't have to get really deep on their religion preferences, but you should get pretty aware on their cultural traditions so that you can help celebrate other traditions. When's Hanukkah this year? When's Kwanzaa this year? When after the holidays does Ramadan start? Becoming more familiar with those things makes your employees and your team members know that they're seen. And that's really important.
Really good. Great advice. If anyone has got a question, please do ask in the comments, or do comment. And also, don't forget, you can go to ginalondon.com if you want more information from Gina. But let's just go back over. So, the first thing, watch the wording on the invitation. The wording, the drink situation, find out, is alcohol, can you have a mixture of drinks, or what drink would they like to have there? What brings you here was one of the things that you said when you say hello to people. Oh, I have another question. So let's say there's a Chris Kindle
Okay.
in the office.
Describe
Chris
describe
Kindle.
what that is. Is that a gift giving?
Yes, so everybody is given a budget of 15 euros, let's say, and they all have to buy a gift,
Okay.
but they don't know who they're
A
getting.
secret
So
Santa. We call those a gift exchange
yeah,
or secret Santa in
sorry,
yeah.
that's it. Yeah,
Okay.
apologies. Yeah.
See, I'm
So,
learning. So what was the
so
question?
we're just have you any advice for people who might be involved in a Chris Kindle, and you know, what kind of like gifts do you think have you ever received before that you thought were lovely,
Well,
and that
again, this is one of those things where you try to be thoughtful. And so thanks, Neil. It's always great to see you with these things, small items that make a big impact. And I do want to, before we go, I do also want to say, I want to make sure I see what Esther wrote, because it was a long one and I didn't get a chance to read it.
apologies.
When we're talking about gift giving, okay, so she says she's such a blessing to connect. She leads a small ministry in Kenya where we care for vulnerable children and orphans, and each connection is a door to new friendships, encouragement, and prayers. Wow. Esther, thank you, thank you, thank you. The more we can think about, I'm going to get to the giving in a second, but the biggest gift that you can give is time.
Yeah.
the biggest, most important gift that you can give is not, oh, here's the candle that I bought 10 of and everybody gets a candle. Not that I have any problem with candles. In fact, I love candles, but I do. But the idea that you can maybe write everyone a note, like think about that impact of an old-fashioned handwritten note that you wrote from the heart in your own handwriting. When we're hearing from Esther, like these small children, they need to know that someone's consistently going to be there for them because they have a feeling from their formulative narrative that they were given up for whatever reason. That feeling of unworthiness or lack of value is part of their beginning narrative. And you could be walking around outside of Kenya in the streets of Manhattan and meeting a colleague that you might not even know was adopted or might even not even know is suffering a loss of a family member or a friend. So the more that we can be aware, again, the external awareness mindset helps us show value to others. So I would say back to the idea now of gift giving ideas. Don't put so much pressure on yourself that it's going to make it not fun. Number one. Back to the organizer of this, give some parameters. We're all doing hand towels this year. We're all doing candles this year. This year we're all doing funny gifts, but not inappropriate gifts because this is a workplace. So be very aware of what's G rated and what is not G rated because that's very important. And I would also say to people, stick to the price point. Nobody wants a show off. If it's a struggle for someone to give 15 and you come waltzing in with your 100 euro extravaganza present, it's not that you might be really generous, but again, intentions don't stop from there being an impact, and that impact might not be what you want. So I would say set your parameters very clear, have fun with your purchase. Don't and if you're the receiver, be gracious. If you already have 25 of these candles and you get number 26, then that's your signal from the universe to start burning those candles because you're older and you need to start being more, having more atmosphere in your home when you're cooking dinner or something. But seriously, be gracious because if someone has taken the effort to get a gift, now I would certainly caution you on regifting because if you've got a gift in 2024 that you gift in 2025 to the same office, there is a chance that they're going to remember.
Yeah, that happens.
We had a secret Santa when I was in college on my dorm floor. So the idea in that is you have a person that you're giving gifts to, but that person doesn't know who you are, and you're to give little tiny presents up until the big sort of gift giving at the end of the week or something. So Heidi in the dorm room, like 3 down from mine, gave me seriously a little candle with little Santa. I'll never forget, little Santa head, little candle at the top of his head where his little hat should be. And I thought it was cute, but I also thought I'll give it to I didn't know it was from Heidi because she was my secret Santa. I got this little candle, right? So then I thought, won't it be cute if I'll just give that little candle to my secret Santa, who is Kristen? But of course, it just so happens that Kristen was roommates with Heidi. And so when Kristen opened her little Santa, Heidi was in there going, oh, I know who your secret Santa is because I had the audacity of re-gifting.
Oh, Gina.
It was an embarrassing moment. I'm not proud of it. Kristen and Heidi, if you happen to be listening here on LinkedIn, no, Heidi called me out as she should, and I mea culpa'd it like crazy, and then went and got both of them a little present. So see what happens. But hey, have fun. Try to find the joy in the quiet moments if you're not a big party person. Oh, another thing too for employers. Don't just have evening cocktail driven parties. You can also have a coffee breakfast in the canteen. You can have a lovely luncheon that doesn't have to be one of those boozy lunches that goes on spills over into the sloppy evening. So there are alternative events that you can curate so that you make sure and you include a wide range in your office, because in any office there's a wide range of people.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Gina. And if anyone wants to get in touch with Gina, you can connect with her here on LinkedIn. Go to ginalondon.com. And also, Gina is on Instagram. And I do know that if you go to Instagram, I know that there's a special offer running on Instagram about the Language of Leadership course. Do you want to tell us a little bit about the Language of Leadership?
Thank you, everyone. I am officially on the Black Friday isn't a day, it's a whole season bandwagon, because again, growing up in the United States, for those of you who are not initiated, Black Friday traditionally is just the Friday after the Thursday, which is Thanksgiving. Full stop, the end. That's all it is. But somehow now retail world has taken it upon itself that after Halloween, all the way until Christmas, it's Black Friday. So there's special offers, there's all sorts of sales, and there's a push to, of course, buy things. So I'm going to encourage you now. I happen to have, and I'm really proud of it, I have a online video learning academy called Language of Leadership. It's the idea of how to, one micro video at a time, remind you of these small skills. So it's ideally once a day, you log in, you work through, you watch that video, you do the following exercise, and you let that sit. And the next day, you take the next in the succession. You can, of course, go through them at your own pace. But what I'm excited about is now for Black Friday, go on Instagram, claim your coupon, or you can even go directly to my Language of Leadership or Gina London website, and you can get on there directly. But if you go to Insta, I'd love for you to follow me on Instagram, because as Sam said, I do share from the heart daily on my stories. I also post reels regularly that I hope you can go back and reuse. They're different from the journey of executive presence, storytelling, presentation, and the team cohesion building that I have right now is the courses on my Language of Leadership program. But we have a big discount right now for individual courses or the whole program. So please go to Insta, go to ginalondon.com. I am absolutely convinced that any of us can take even 1% more control of how we communicate to better connect to others and ourselves. And that's the key about becoming an intentional communicator. It's not just an idea or some information, it's a transformative journey that you can put your body and your mind and your voice into action. Anybody can develop this. It takes some time because you're going from your default behaviors and your default mindset that has been built up over time, who you are, your experiences we were talking about. I had a coaching client today go, is it from Ukraine, who has acknowledged that she has a bit of a serious face, and she's comes across to others sometimes as more intense than she feels like is internal. She said, is this really something that I can develop? I said, absolutely. Of course you can. It takes awareness, it takes desire, and it takes little increments of development to change those muscle memories from the default you are now to the design approach, which might seem a bit performative at first. But when you start to see the responses change, it reinforces the decisions you've made. And then over time, it becomes your new default. Again, your actions change the wiring in your brain, not the other way around.
And I just want to let people know about the course, the Language of Leadership. There's the full program, but then you can get the professional presence module, inspiring and motivating others, powerful presentations, storytelling and pitch. And these are all such important skills to have, especially if you're a leader, but even just for people like myself who run our own businesses, we need to know this stuff. So do go check it out, and ginalondon.com. And thank you very much, Gina. Oh, we better get ready for our little holiday one for next week.
Right. Yes. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Hey, here we are, ready for our holiday parties. We are no pressure to be extra enthusiastic, obviously.
Bye, everybody.
Happy holidays. Hang in there. Be kind to one another. And most of all, be aware that you have value and your value matters to someone else who's also seeking that value.
Lovely. Thank you, Gina. Thanks, everybody. Bye.